Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Oh my goodness, I tell you, you can drown in today's headlines. I mean, it's just one thing after the other. Well, I have to say it. It is it's getting hot in her. It is getting hot in her. Um that's a St. Louis accent in case you didn't know. It's getting hot in her. Um, I wouldn't know where to start. Hi, Black Queen. Thank you so much for that. Just gonna scroll through all the way to the end. Oh, okay. Wow, already over 500 people here. Thank you so much for that. Let me go ahead and grab my slides. No further delay with that. Um, Although I can keep changing stuff, but I'm done for right now. Uh, okay. Hey, Leslie F. and Janine Bell. Okay. Okay, there we go. Slides are up. Slides are up. You can hear me. That's good. Oh, the party started without me. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, so Omid Scobie Einstridge, or is it Einstrage? Einstridge, that means Endgame in Dutch. And what I love about the cover of this book, notice that it looks like there's someone splashed in a pond or whatever, and that splash created something that looks like a crown. Do you see it? That little splash at the bottom is supposed to represent a crown. I say it also represents a ripple on placid waters, right? Let's say you're at a quiet little pond somewhere. There's barely a breeze, the water's not moving, there are no waves or anything. And then all of a sudden, a British born Scottish Iranian kid who had the dream of being a journalist wrote not one, but two books. He co authored one, and then, of course, he wrote another called Endgame. Well, that Endgame, just like someone threw a huge boulder in a very quiet, shallow pond, that is, and all of a sudden there's a big ripple, or what you see right there. Somebody upset the still waters. And if there's one thing I learned from Aretha Franklin, she said, "Still waters run deep. Yes, it do. Whoa, yeah. Don't trouble the waters. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Yes, leave it alone. Let it be. Don't trouble those still waters. Still waters run deep." Well, however you slice it, Omen's book has really upset the apple cart. It has taken what should have been a very quiet holiday season. Oh, Ainstrad. Oh, thank you so much, George Blackie. Ainstrad. 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 Yes, Ainstrad. Thank you so much. Dankjewel. Okay, that's Dutch, but thank you. All right, let's move on here. So it says right here, Omid Scobie on what royal story to trust and understand Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle's image. Well, this is an article from today, or for some of you all, yesterday. Uh, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think so. Or Day's outlet have, what does that say? Or am I missing part of it? Anyway, outlets have reported on pieces from Omid Scobie's Endgame that focus on the strained relationships between Prince William, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Kate Middleton, and even King Charles. Taken out of context, it is easy to mark off the book as just another tome about royal family drama. But Endgame is meticulously reported, shockingly candid, deep dive into the systems that maintain the royal family's image, the press, the palace staff with its courtiers, and the royal family members themselves following Charles' coronation. Scobie believes this new chapter offers a chance to have a conversation around the relevancy and place of the monarchy. He says, I want to write something that could a joint well, wait a minute, something's wrong with that. That could a oh yeah, that's cool. Could a joint conversation, but also I could provide an unvarnished, unbiased, fearless take on all of it, even if that came at the cost of me losing all my connections and tomorrow no longer receiving an email from the palace ever again for anything like that. He told Elle.com, this was an article for Elle magazine, they interviewed him. The threat of losing access is in part why the Royal Rota is more limited in their coverage. Unlike the White House press corps, there is an expectation of perhaps adhering to a more royalist code of conduct in your reporting that, as you may notice, often the coverage in certain newspapers is quite breathless and puff piece-esque. Uh, Scobie said, if you try and divert from that, you will definitely get comeback from the palace who will question, why are you not doing the same as everyone else? So that was in the Elle magazine if you're interested in the complete article. Audrey Teschner says, Morning, Baron. Mod Squad and all squad family around the world, blessed and peaceful Thursday to all. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for being here at Royal Sussex. And happy Thursday to you, or Wednesday if you're in the, well, yeah, you're in the Thursday time zone. But thank you so much. Okay. So, all right. All right. So thank you very much. And next. Okay. So she lied, he lied, they lied. Do you know what I mean by that? He lied. I'm sorry. She lied, he lied, they lied. What do I mean by that? Who's doing the lying? Well, according to the Royal Rota, which is a pack of rodents, they call them rota, but I think that is Greek for rodent, like rats and mice and any other vermin that seems to overtake a quiet family home or a peaceful workplace. Sometimes they're overrun with a certain level of pestilence that you can barely get rid of. Sometimes you have to call in for reinforcement, but I promise you, a rodent is a rodent. A rat is a rat. And so those royal rats, rodents, royal rodents, rota, that's what I mean to say, royal rota, which I am symbolizing with these rats or mice. They have been on the airways all day today. Do you hear me? All day. Everybody is all hands on deck. Every man for themselves. They are on television from, I don't think that there was a moment of the day in the UK where there wasn't someone who calls themselves a royal reporter that was not on some channel at some point or a podcast calling Omid Scobie a liar. And of course, because race seems to have taken the central focus of the book right now, race is center stage. who is the one in the family, right? Um, every time you see one of those reports, you could, if it was a drinking game, let me say this. If it was a drinking game, number one, I think Churchill would win. But number two, I think I would have drunk myself under the table, because if you get to have a shot every time somebody says he's a liar, it's a lie, they're lying, you would drink yourself silly. You would wake up having slept for a couple days, because every other word they make sure that they insert lie, lie, and more lies. Um, I noticed that. That is the big talking point. Whatever they say, they are calling Omid Scobie a liar. They're calling the Sussex liars. And what's interesting is it's not the Sussex's book. And the book is mostly about other things besides that one part of the book. But how did we get here? How did we get here? Yeah, I wouldn't take her on. I wouldn't take her on. Oh, by the way, the one way you can get rid of your rodent problem is to call for help. You have to find a very angry, big, menacing, tough cat, a cat that doesn't take any prisoners, a cat that has had a very hard life, a cat that still has his hunting instincts. You need a very angry cat to get rid of rodents. I'm just saying. It doesn't imply anything about anybody in particular. I'm just saying that that's a way to handle these things. Lex says all of these actions are to protect W, which of course is William. We don't want, oh, I'm sorry, let me highlight that. Um, oh, yeah. They don't want to talk about him briefing on Harry and Meghan, the racist royal diverts, that is, but they also have to divert from William. You know what, Legs? That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. As long as we're talking about this, we won't talk about the $1 million that William got to settle that lawsuit and didn't say anything to anybody. A lawsuit which not only got him $1 million, but seems to have also taken all of the pressure from the media off of him and off of Kate. And of course, as you say, briefing against Harry and Meghan. And instead of them talking about Rose Hanbury and that situation, every time you turn around, there was like up to 50 articles a day about the Sussexes, right? The Mirror, the Express. Well, actually, that's for one tabloid, up to 50 articles a day. If you combine all the tabloids, I'm sure that that would easily run up to like 300 articles a day. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So they're diverting from William, who has been accused not only by Harry, but also by the Endgame of briefing against the Sussexes. And dare I say, possibly, allegedly, putting their lives in danger. Putting their lives in danger because the briefing and also someone leaked. I'm not saying it was William, but if there was that possibility of someone leaking their location, all of that not only put them in danger mentally, but physically, right? So by dragging out this who asked about Archie's skin color, then we're not talking about the briefing. Brilliant, Lex, brilliant. As per usual, brilliant. So, oh, Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. Um, so one thing about the royal rodents, when there's nobody around, they fight with each other. As a matter of fact, hopping the subway the other day, I promise you, I thought I saw a couple of rats, royal rodents, duking it out right there on the platform. Who knows what the who knows what the fight was about? But as you can see, it is rat eat rat out there. The royal rodents, I mean, they eat their own. They literally eat their own. It's rat on rat crime when it comes to the rodents. But what they all have in common is going after the Sussexes. That they have in common. So, palace dismay at race row. And who managed to put themselves slap dab in the middle of it all? Piers Hoghead Morgan. He's back, you guys. He's back. Piers Morgan has been struggling with that television show of his on Talk TV. He's been struggling, trying to figure out, how can I make something about myself? How can I find something that has nothing to do with me and make it about myself? And as per usual, where there's a hog head, there's a way. Piers Morgan has found his way back to the top of the headlines. He had been so quiet, I thought he had, like, quietly crossed over to the other side, and nobody talked about it, right? Whatever that other side is. But I thought he had crossed over or something, and nobody cared to bring it up. But nay, Piers Morgan was just sifting through the garbage bins of his mind, looking for something that can bring him back. And he found that something. And that, of course, is Endgame. Now, Piers Morgan is the ultimate opportunist, and there's others like him, the professional victim, someone who otherwise is at the top of the, shall we say, food chain when it comes to salary and position and fame. I mean, after all, he's had quite a charmed existence doing nothing but talking about other people. And whenever possible, he makes the story about himself. Yeah. So he is like the ultimate white man, the ultimate alpha male white man who finds a way to insert himself. Ugh, that sounds weird. To place himself any place he can, anytime he can. He can take nothing and make it about him. He could take something and make it about him. He could take anything and make it about him. And he's finally succeeded in putting himself back in the center of a story that truly has nothing to do with him. But here we are. And all he had to do was to be the one bold enough to say what everybody else was thinking. And that was made easy because of a journalist in the Netherlands who got a copy of the book. And somehow it seems to mention a couple of names. Now, Omid Scobie, to be fair, Omid Scobie has not confirmed that those are the two individuals that he was speaking of, but yet the rumors persist. So you have to listen to the language very carefully. Hoghead did not say that those were the people that Omid was referring to. He just said that they were the ones mentioned in the book. MR, thank you so much for the Cash App. Yeah, so he did not say that they were the ones that were mentioned that are the actual people. He just said they were mentioned in the book. Now, everybody assumes that is accurate, right? One more so than other. One, and I'm going to show you both the English and the Dutch um, text in due time. Let me see if I can find Hoghead very quickly so you can hear it from his mouth. You can hear the words coming out of his mouth. Unfortunately, oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I want you to listen to Omid Scobie first. Let's hear Omid Scobie. It's only 18 seconds long. But let's hear Omid, and then I will find the Hoghead. Books available in a number of languages, and unfortunately I can't speak Dutch, so I haven't seen the copy for myself, but if there have been any translation errors, I'm sure the publishers got it under control. For me, I edited and wrote the English version. There's never been a version that I've produced that has names in it. But the book's available in a number of languages, and unfortunately I can't speak Dutch, so I haven't seen the copy for myself, but if there have been any translation errors, I'm sure the publishers got it under control. For me, I edited and wrote the English version. There's never been a version that I've produced that has names in it. But the book's available in a... Okay, that was worth hearing a couple of times. That the book is available in Dutch. He does not speak Dutch. I don't know how this could have happened. I honestly don't know how this could have happened. And Duchess of Success says, I believe Piers was ordered to throw Kate under the bus, allegedly. Maybe Kate will finally grow a backbone and fight back. Phew, what a mess. Woo! Phew, what a mess. Yeah, it is messy. It is quite messy. I don't have the words for the amount of mess this is. Oh, okay, so there it is. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I still got to find Hoghead. It's very. I just want you to hear. The book's available. Oh, sorry, Omen. I didn't need that again. Just wanted you to hear Hoghead himself say it. Wait, did I bookmark that? Huh. No, I didn't. Wait. I will find it. Give me a second. Oh, he's blocked me, Piers Morgan. Should I be surprised? He blocked me.
Harry and Meghan's claims about supposed racists in the royal family have left a predictable and poisonous legacy for the last few years. We live in an age where grievances are given the benefit of the doubt, where the establishment is toxic by default, where my truth apparently means more than the truth. They knew the power there was.
Okay. I don't want to listen to that whole thing. Let me see. Oh, wow. He went on for 8 minutes. This is not the one that I was looking for. Okay. Well, we just may not hear that because I cannot take 8 minutes of him. But anyway, he had an 8-minute dialogue, it appears. 8 minutes.
If Dutch people wandering into a bookshop can pick it up and see these names, then you, British people here, who actually pay for the British royal family, you're entitled to know too. And then we can have a more open debate about this whole farrago, because I don't believe any racist comments were ever made by any of the royal family. And until there is actual evidence.
No, that's not it either. Oh, well. But yeah, so that is how. Oh, there it is. It's only 8 seconds.
Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales.
Okay, that's why I said You got to pay attention to the language. He names them, but he said that they were mentioned in the book. That's the other way he's managed to get away with this, is that it's not him saying that that's who the culprits are. That is him naming them based on what's in the book. I tell you, they say pigs are smart. They say that hogs are highly evolved, intelligent creatures, and it's a shame that I enjoy them for my breakfast sausages. But this is one brilliant swine. Helen Cole says Carmilla gave Morgan the call to out private dancer Kate. Allegedly. All the sailors coming to these places, and the sailors are all the same. I got a job on the yacht, and everybody knows my name. I'm your private dancer, the dancer for money. Helen Cole, why are you making me be messy? Yeah, private sailor, the sailor for money. Okay, I gotta stop. Oh Lord, my side is still hurting from yesterday, and you all are getting me all messy. Let me see. I'm gonna take a look at a couple of your comments here. And didn't I just see you just go by here? Let me see here. The comments are coming in so fast. Uh, where? Oh, there you are. Oh, maybe I did that one already. Was there another one? Let me see here. I thought it was. Oh, there you are. But Baron, am I missing something? Kate's name wasn't there, not in the translation. I saw it. I am missing something. Not to worry. I'm going to share it, and then everyone will get a chance to decide. I do have not well. I got like three different things for you all to look at, and it is coming. But then you can decide. Well, everybody can make their choice at that point. Let's see. Are we going to be spending the next 3 years on this again? We squatties who are very intelligent know that it was only one person who had a problem with Archie's skin tone. I think Lex said it best. It's a diversion. It's a diversion. Unfortunately, uh, it it runs the risk of distracting from the future projects that the Sussexes are working on. So, unfortunately, this is just going to have to run its course. Um, I don't know how long that'll take. I couldn't even guess, but it's going to have to run its course. But right now, it is dominating the news cycle, mostly, of course, in Narnia. There's other stuff going on. Like, by the way, did you guys know that Henry Kissinger died today, age 100? I have some thoughts about him, but I'll keep it to myself. But Henry Kissinger, the architect of many a uh, calamity, died today, age 100. Yeah, karma. Uh, what do you call it? Karma is not always obvious. Sometimes people seem to have more time in this world than others, but not one of my favorite people. Not one of my favorite people. I guess I'm gonna have to give up voodoo. Thank you, Beverly McCaskill, and thank you so much for your comment. Okay, moving on. Moving on. One more comment. Baron, did you see the report on the Dutch book had missing words or pages around the name of the racist? And I don't believe it was Charles. I believe it was Willie and Kate talking to Harry. Uh, again, I'm going to show you what I have, and if it is some inconsistency, because when something is translated, sometimes there's more words, sometimes there's less. Some words are bigger. It's going to be hard to say because there is translation and there is interpretation. So some things just can never be directly translated, and interpretation is always so subject to people's life experience and personal opinion. So, how could we ever know for certain? Let me see here. Lorna Williams says Omid wouldn't name the racehorse due to slander liabilities. He would need to be party to the conversation. Third party hearsay cannot be used in court. Come on, Lorna. Come on. I like that. I like that. Thank you very much. That is very eloquently put. Thank you. And thank you for being a member as well. And Leslie F says, Baron, I think Murdoch Publishing Company owner paid someone to add KC, King Charles, and Kate's name to sell more books and use Kate's name so Willie can divorce her later, allegedly. Uh, you know, I think that there were less moving parts, partner, the way I say it, but there were less moving parts involved in Diana's mysterious, tragic, and still unresolved death in a tunnel in Paris. So this doesn't have to be nearly as complicated to be true. So there may be some merit to what you're saying there. That's what I'm trying to say, is that not all conspiracies are complicated. Not all plans and diabolical maneuvers have to be so complicated. Some things are hiding right in your face. So, who knows? Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe, maybe not. But thank you so much for your comment. Okay. And Leg says, Rohini says Kate can't explain even if she wanted to. You know how she mumbles. But apparently, according to Spare, Kate has had some elocution lessons and she is more confident than ever before. Now, of course, to be fair, we have to.
Well, obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
Okay, and going this day and forward and whatnot. Okay, thank you for that. And thank you, Legs. Oh, man. Pam Porter says, Yacht Girl better wake up and smell the coffee. Her days are numbered. I don't know why I was about to say her days are mumbled. Um, Queen Elizabeth II is gone, and Charles can't control William. Besides, what can he say when he married his long term mistress? Absolutely. People will never have full and complete respect for the sovereign because of the way he's lived his life. He was not the kid when he married Diana. Diana was 16 years old when they first got the notion to put the two of them together. She was 19. I think she had just turned 19 when they got married, still a teenager. So there's no way in the world that you can say that Diana could ever have known what she was getting into. They say that the brain does not fully form until age 25. So Diana, being a teenager at the time, found herself with the world's most eligible bachelor and she was sold a bill of goods, and she believed it and believed the fairy tale because everybody told her that's what it was. But Charles was not the kid. Charles was in his 30s and should have known better. Charles had experienced life like most uh, wealthy men uh, in his position would have. And so I can never say that he didn't have command of the situation. And if he was dumb enough to be coerced into something that he did not want to do, it will never, ever make sense that Diana was the one being punished because he didn't have enough backbone to stand up against Louis Mountbatten and his mother and his father and everybody else involved. So yeah, that I think that on his way out of here, and I mean as he gets older, there's going to be a lot of things that is going to go terribly wrong for him because of the way he's lived his life over the years, ever since 1981 and beyond. Um, he's gonna get his comeuppance. He really will. And should he never know a day's peace, that's because of the way he has conducted himself. Again, he was not the kid in that situation. He was not a kid in that situation. Um, and so he's reaping what he sowed. He really is. Hard to feel sorry for someone like that. He didn't have to just marry Camilla. He wanted to. He felt entitled to. He thought the world would understand that he, as a sovereign, can carry on like sovereigns have done for the past 1,000 years, and that's just not the case. Hey, Charlotte. Charlotte says, let me see. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that, Charlotte. Unfortunately, I don't have your theme anymore. It's on my broken computer. But thank you so much for that. All right, let's move on here. So there it is. Eindstrade, right? Or yeah, Eindstrade, which of course is Dutch for Endgame. Chaos. That I can understand that one. On Roost in One Troven, the British Royal something, and whatever else it says there. Overtime? Over Levin, not Angela Levin, is it? Over Levine, over Levin. Anyway, that's the book. That was the focus of everybody's attention right now. So on the left side is the Dutch. On the right side is the English. Oh, unfortunately, it's kind of buried behind the watermark. Unconsciously by, okay, yeah, you can see what that is. So after discussing possible unconscious bias within the family, after it was revealed that the King and Princess of Wales had taken part in such conversations about Archie, Kate has avoided discussing the subject with her sister in law. She got on well with Harry and will always remember those moments fondly and the bond he had with their children. But she will never, but she never will them after all their interviews. But she never will them after their interviews. Again, that's the translator from Dutch. Okay, so if it looks weird, that's because I translated it from the text on the left side there. More confidence, says a source who knows the family. In addition, the Sussexes' departure increased pressure on the other half of the Fab Four, who had to take over their work to take. Again, that is the translation. Now, if you guys can understand the Dutch, and you want to tell us what you see, go for it. But when I translated it from the text, from the book, this is what I got over here on the right side. And that is, after it was revealed that the King and Princess of Wales had taken part in such conversations about Archie, Kate has avoided discussing the subject with her sister in law. She got on well with Harry and will always remember those moments fondly. So let me know what you think. I'll leave that up there for a second and look at some comments. Lex says, we all know Camilla went after William when she leaked that Meghan talked to King Charles III with that letter before the coronation. Coronation. I think that Camilla and William at war. Huh. You know, okay, Legs, let's stay with that. When William read that beautiful speech that he wrote at the concert for Charles' coronation, the concert they had at Windsor, conspicuously absent from the speech was Camilla, who was also crowned that day. Conspicuously absent was Camilla. William made no reference to Camilla. William did not bow to Camilla. And for whatever reason, even little Charlotte did not bow, but they said Charlotte didn't see her. And Kate, I think Kate did not curtsy to her. So there seemed to be some type of friction going on at that point. Again, William did not reference her in the speech, and I can't recall that he embraced her in any way after the speech as he made his way back to the section where the royals were seated. So, aside from that, I cannot, I'm looking in my mind's eye to try to figure out any situation where I may have noticed them directly address each other, and I cannot think of one. Not a cordial situation between William and Camilla. So, again, Legs, you're on to something. You're on to something. But yeah, I'm trying to sort that out in my mind right now. And I cannot think of a situation where there seemed to be any type of bond with them other than carrying out their constitutional monarchical duties or whatever. So, yeah, there's probably something to that. Because remember, when Harry said that he felt as though someone had been leaking and he had made some references, it was some reference that he made about Camilla, I think it was, and that William said that he was going to that he had something that he was going to do or work out himself, or that he had his own situation where that was concerned. And it did sound as though that there was a mild bit of hostility toward Camilla, which of course is understandable. I mean, as much as we may feel a bit of something toward William, I won't say what, but we feel a certain way about William. That was also his mother. And as we can see from the way he has conducted himself, he is in as much need of some therapy and intervention as anybody else in that family, if not more. Harry's handling himself, but William doesn't seem to have benefited from any type of therapy, if at all, that he's had any therapy. So there's that to consider. So yeah, who knows what their relationship is like? I mean, he carries out his duty as he's supposed to as the future sovereign, the son of the king and such. But whether or not there's any kind of cordial relationship between William and Camilla, as a matter of fact, it may be a very adversarial relationship. Leg says, Rohini says, my theory is William tried to set up Charles with the Dutch translation, and Camilla retaliated by calling her friend Piers to name Kitty. You all got this figured out, don't you? Now, of course, I have to say again that that is alleged, but it is a way to fit the pieces together. That's for sure. William tried to set up Charles allegedly with the Dutch translation, and Camilla retaliated by calling her friend Piers Morgan to name Kitty allegedly. Well, okay. Let's stay with that for a second. If that is the way that it happened, I could see how that makes sense. And the reason is that William, of course, and Charles seems to be at it. They're not. They don't get on right now. And maybe William feels as though he was left open and exposed with the trip to the Caribbean, and perhaps a few other things, right? And then as for the other part there, we do know that after the Christmas party last year, it was back in December, they had a meal, a party at a Mayfair restaurant that involved Camilla and Piers Morgan, Jeremy Clarkson, and a few of the other haters. They all gathered. And then the very next day, Jeremy Clarkson, who appeared to have been weaponized by Camilla, allegedly, at the party, writes that scathing, disgusting, despicable article about wanting to see Meghan paraded through the streets and covered in stuff. And yeah, so it is truly, truly possible that that's exactly what happened, because there is that connection there. And then, of course, we do recall that Piers Morgan said that someone in the family thanked him for going after the Sussexes. They thanked him. And Camilla has had a very cozy relationship with the media. That is how she was able to climb out of the unpopularity that, and she's still unpopular, don't get it wrong. She is still very unpopular. But the way she has managed that situation is the cozy relationship that she has with the media. So that we don't have to allege, that is 100% true. She has had, and every time she gives a speech, she even thanks the media. She had a party and invited the media. Charles, it turns out, according to Endgame, threw a party at Dumfries' house and invited the media. And from that point on, but I'm going to tell you who's really in Charles's pocket is Robert Jobson, who wrote the last sanctioned book about Charles. Okay, so here we go. Thank you so much, Legs, and Rohini. So take a look there. There is Piers Morgan, Jeremy Clarkson, and um, oh gosh, what is that guy's name? Wait, don't tell me. Rupert Murdoch, right? And let me see. Do I need to? Oh, this is the one I'm looking for. On the right side there, exclusive. Camilla, very glamorous private party. Dame Judi Dench, Piers Morgan, Claudia Winkleman, and Jeremy Clarkson joined Queen Consort at star-studded Mayfair lunch, as she proves Meghan isn't the only royal with pulling power. Even that article, they had to make it about Meghan. But at the bottom, you can see there, written by Richard Eden for the Daily Mail and Lawrence Dollamore for Mail Online. Well, right there, 16 December 2022. And there, you could also see Maggie Smith there. It seems as though someone's mind was programmed with hostility at that party, allegedly. And Jeremy Clarkson overnight wrote that horrific article about the Duchess of Sussex, which he still has yet to apologize directly to the Duchess of Sussex. The only apology was the alleged email that he sent to Harry on Christmas Eve. And the email was not a direct apology to Meghan. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure the way it was worded that there was even an apology. And then after that, the tabloid media conspired to say that Jeremy Clarkson has already apologized. Can't we just move on? But he did not apologize to her. Just like with the Susan Hussey and Nagazi Fulani, she never directly apologized to her, and neither did the palace. They had lunch, and she went on the record to say, they have not directly apologized to me. What they had in the paper did not jive with the experience that she had. So, just saying that to give you a reference to how the palace works, how these things happen. So, apologies is not the strong suit of either the tabloid media or the royal family. There are no apologies to be expected. Okay, so I am going to look to see if you all had anything to add about this on the screen right here. Go at each other. Harry and Meghan just need to sit back and watch the fireworks. Thank you, Rohini. Let me see. Don't believe it was Charles because of the letter. I still believe it was Will and Kate. Camilla probably talked about it to her British media friends. Thank you, Cherry Hill. Yeah, George Blackie. I'm assuming that you can read Dutch. I'm trying to go back and see what it is you said. Okay. You said, I just read this piece in Dutch. I cannot believe that is them. Maybe it's William and Kate. I would like to believe that Kate is in danger as all these people are trying to save William. Thank you, George. You know, excuse me. For the longest, you all know who I suspected was the culprit, and that was William. And then all of a sudden, there's supposed to be two people, one for sure, and the other to a lesser extent. Um, so, again, just as some of you all have said, it seems as though someone is trying to throw the other one under the bus by using their name and, or should I say, inserting their name in place of someone else's. But I believe that Omid Scobie is 100% sincere when he says he did not place the names in the manuscript. This would have gone through lawyers before. So, somewhere in between the manuscript, the editing process from the publishing company. By the way, who is the publishing company? It's not the Murdoch company, is it? Let me know. I don't recall who the publishing company is. I know Murdoch owns a publishing company, but somewhere between writing the book, presenting the manuscript, and the editing process, the lawyers, and all of that from the publishing company, then the Dutch version of the book has a couple of names presented. What went wrong? How in the world did that happen? That is hard to explain. This is like one in a series of mistakes. They accidentally released Spare early in Spain, right? I'm trying to think of another snafu with a publishing company where they did something wrong. I'm trying to think. It was something else that I'm trying to remember had gone wrong with the release of a book. and it's not coming to me right now. But yeah, you would think that in this day and age that they would have this figured out, but apparently they do not. Uh, okay, so thank you so much for that, George. Okay. Anybody else? I'm looking. Just going to take a glance here. Very good, Sandra. I'm listening to it too, but unfortunately, I'm stuck because I have been looking at all of this stuff today. Um, okay, doesn't make sense. Camilla would have. Oh, sorry. There we go. It doesn't make sense that Camilla would have Piers throw Charles under the bus because Piers mentioned Charles and Kate, and people took it as him saying they were the two races. Tashmak, I don't know. I'm starting to. Well, I always suspected Willie leaks. So this is all new. I was not thinking in this direction at all. So this is confusing to me. It's taken me in a direction that I didn't see coming. So uh okay. Tesh Max says someone on Celibacy said that when you have a book published in another country, your book is sold to the publishing company there and they publish it. So the Dutch publishing uh, company is at fault. I don't know. I don't suppose it's a different company though. I mean, they have books printed in other languages. I think Spare is in what, 30 languages? And one more time, just so that we all understand, there is translation and there is interpretation. Translation, as I understand it, is whenever possible, word for word. Some languages, the words mean something different, and some languages, there are no words. So whoever's doing the translation has to be creative. And the interpretation is not word for word. The interpretation is still based on the original words, but they're explaining to you what it means more so than what was written. So that's how I understand it. Leslie F says Barron, the publishing company that published the Endgame, is HarperCollins, which is oh, oh no. Oh, okay. That's what I feared. That's what I feared. And HarperCollins, they're the ones who did the Finding Freedom, right? Which is the book which people allege was a big setup in the first place. So if this is the case, oh my God, Lord, 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 just as I feared. Oh no, 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 no. Lisette Zog says the translation on screen is quite uh, on point. I can understand Dutch a little bit. Well, thank you, Lisette. And thank you for being a member, by the way. Okay, so now let me do this. So right here it says, even after Meghan and Charles by letter discussed about probable unconscious bias within the family after it was revealed that blank took part in such conversations about Archie, has avoided discussing the subject with. So this is what I had first. And then eventually, oh, wait. I found this, which is a screenshot from the book. That's a screenshot from the book. And Rick Evers, that is the journalist who was the first to report on it. And I believe Rick Evers was actually on Hoghead's show. I think I saw him on Hoghead's. Hoghead Piers Morgan, by the way, in case you don't know which Hoghead I'm talking about. Um, Let's see. The comment at the top says the Wanks Rangers are blaming Camilla because she wants Princess of Wales, because she was, I'm sorry, Princess of Wales at the time. Oh, okay. Well, technically, she was the Princess of Wales, but we only referred to her as the Duchess of Cornwall. But you know what? You know what? I hate to say it, but mm, that cast a bit of confusion just now, doesn't it? Technically, at the time, Camilla was the Princess of Wales. At the time, Camilla was Princess of Wales. Kate was not the Princess of Wales. So I don't think that that's what it means, because Omid Scobie, didn't he push back the release date of the book? Um, I'm trying to remember. Did he push it back at all? But he had to change parts of the book because the Queen died. That much I'm sure of. Um, there were certain parts of the book that had to be reworked, which is not surprising. That happens all the time. But Camilla was the Princess of Wales at the time. Okay, y'all, let's go back and look at it again. After discussing possible unconscious bias with the family, after it was revealed that the King and Princess of Wales had taken. Okay, no, okay, it says King. It says King. So Charles would not have been king at the time. So, yeah, never mind. Charles was king, and the Princess of Wales, as is written here, would. Okay. Okay, that kind of took me back for a minute. I'm so sorry. I wanted to make sure that I took another look at that. Helen Cole says we all know it was Will and Kate, allegedly. William and his team managed to get Charles and Kate tagged for the racist comments. This is done by William and his team. Thank you so much, Helen Cole. Oh man, I'm back to square one. I'm just like, now that I'm looking at everything, I'm just like, oh, I mean, not that it's not true. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to take it away from anybody if that's what you believe is true. But how it happened is the big question. How could that have happened? And who and to whose advantage was it if it was a deliberate outing? Who is uh the advantage, or who and whose advantage is it? Let me see. Understand my conspiracy theory. Uh oh, I'm sorry, right here. Baron, the publishing company that published Endgame is HarperCollins, which is on. Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. I mean, that's why I said once I you confirm that for me, I'm just like, oh, that that right there. Once you said that, I mean, and just so that everybody's clear, Rupert Murdoch is the owner of the Sun, Fox News, and just about every right wing something you could think of. That's Rupert Murdoch. Talk TV. And Rupert Murdoch has been reported to have said, although he denies it, that he's uh, he decides who's the prime minister. He decides what the royal family will and won't do, and what we believe about the. And I'm, you know, loosely basing it on what he's been accused of, but Rupert Murdoch is the reason why Trump became president. Fox News was like the Trump network. Very powerful person, that Rupert Murdoch, who's 91, 92 years old now. Um, very powerful. And he has used his political power through his publishing media multinational company to affect politics in the United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom. and to a lesser extent, other places on this planet. There's a lot of alt right conservatism in every neck of the woods, as a matter of fact, all over the world, that has been emboldened and even propelled by Rupert Murdoch. So um, I believe they who was it Barack Obama or was it Joe Biden or both that said that he is one of the most dangerous people in the world. So, oh wow, that that is troubling. I didn't realize that it was the same publishing company. I had wondered about that, and then I forgot to look any further. But thank you so much for that. The police swapped Duchess of Cambridge for the Duchess of Sussex evil. Yes, yes. We've talked about that many a time. The Sarah Everhart memorial, they swapped Meghan's name, I'm sorry, Kate's name, and inserted Meghan's name on the official police report. As a matter of fact, they never removed Meghan's name after it had been discovered. They had never removed her name. I think they just made a notation, but they never took Meghan's name off of it. They didn't rewrite it and scrap the old one. They made a notation, and that was it. That was it. Meghan, unfortunately, has to be associated with that, even though she wasn't there and had nothing to do with it. So, yeah. Yeah, it's something that they do a lot. It's something they do a lot. We're sure of that. Um, I'm trying to see if I can find that video. Unfortunately, I think I got to get that other computer fixed. I know, because this is going to keep happening. And there's a few videos. I don't care if I don't have the other computer. I just need that information off of there. Um, and I have an external hard drive that I just never hooked up. So that was my fault. Sorry, you guys. I let the team down, Sarah. But if push comes to shove, I could always go to one of my YouTube videos to get it, but shouldn't have to do that. But yeah, okay. Let me see. Or is it under Kate? And that's only for the benefit of people who haven't heard about it, of course. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have it here. But thank you for reminding us about that, Legs. Thank you so much, because that is very important to remember that they swapped out Meghan's name on the police report. And for those of you who don't know what we're speaking about, Meghan was 5,000 miles away in Montecito, California during the height of the global pandemic. And Kate Middleton decided to go on a publicity stunt, even though the police had advised, had told people, do not come to this makeshift memorial for Sarah Eberhard, who unfortunately was unalived by a metropolitan police officer who was into some very devious, kinky stuff. She was unalived by a metropolitan police officer. So Kate Middleton left her luxurious home and went down there without a mask on, even though, as I say, we were at the height of the pandemic, which is why the police said that there should not be a gathering that big. There were hundreds of people down there. And Kate, along with her royal protection officers, went prancing right in front of everybody and went to the memorial. And I think she put some flowers or a card or whatever without a mask on. This is at the height of the pandemic. Everybody in the crowd was masked but her, or almost everyone. And then when the police began to arrest the women, and I mean, they were very brutal. about arresting the women and breaking up this gathering, Kate was long gone. And the police, of course, had to submit a police report, and they put Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, on the police report, and not Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton's name was not on the police report. Oh, legs, I get hot about that. But yeah, that is evil. That is evil. So part of the permanent record, Meghan's name is on there, even though she was 5,000 miles away. Let's see, Baron, do you understand? Oh yeah, okay. I think we covered that. I got to go back the other way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. JK, thank you so much for the super sticker. Uh, okay. Hey, Church Nelly. Uh, about the what was I trying to say here? About the baby skin color. Now, there may be some people that are watching that, you know, agree with some things and don't agree with other things, which is fine. We're not a monolith. But if you are, or if you're a deranger, a hate listener, and you're still trying to figure out what is this fuss about the baby's skin color, as a black person, as a person of African descent, or even if you're of any other race or race mixture, and you are in a situation where you're in a Western industrialized nation, which happens to be the United Kingdom, for the purposes of the conversation, and you're the only black person. And who feels more vulnerable than a pregnant woman? I mean, that is just something that, as sure as the sun is going to come up, a woman experiencing birth, especially for the first time in this very white institution, because she just happened to fall in love with Prince Harry, she's in this the highest part of the pyramid in English society. And someone asked about the baby's skin color. This is someone who went to a Christmas party and there was Princess Michael of Kent wearing a blackamoor brooch. This is someone whose child later on was depicted, or was that no? This was this after the fact? Okay, I'm getting my time. But anyway, Prince Archie was represented by a chimpanzee in a photo, and called, no one in the family called out the perpetrator, right? So, race and that family is something that has always been a constant, is racism and the royal family. And so Harry, who is really experiencing the devastation of racism for the first time because he happened to fall in love with a biracial woman from California named Rachel Meghan Markle. And so Harry began to notice how people got different around her. And maybe this happened before, but he wasn't sensitive to it because that wasn't his wife or that wasn't his partner. But now that his eyes have been opened, he can never go back. And he noticed the body language, the conversation, the tension of people when they would find themselves in a room with the Duchess of Sussex. And so when that person who mentioned to him, um, uh, what what color do you think, or how dark do you think the baby will be, and what is that going to look like for the family? How will that look? And also, they probably won't have a title. They won't have a title, but okay. So in that conversation with Oprah Winfrey, not only did we find out that the unborn child was being singled out because they thought the child may be the darkest one in the family. Born into the family, officially born into the family. The other thing that seemed to bother them is that if this child is dark, or even if this child is of African descent, they're not getting the title, even though the George V Convention promises the title, guarantees the title under law, that as soon as the Queen dies, Archie and Lily are to become prince and princess. So it wasn't a matter of Charles bestowing the title upon them. He didn't have to do anything. The only action that he would have taken was to actively petition Parliament to remove the titles. That's an act of Parliament. And with the weight of his his sovereignty, would he actively petition Parliament and then him being the sovereign sign the document stripping them of their titles? Would he participate in that? Was that a warning? This is what I'm going to do. And still there are people that believed if Meghan did not mention that on the Oprah Winfrey interview, that probably would have happened. And so it took until Lilibet Diana's baptism, whatever. It took until that. Oh, I'm sorry, her christening. It took until her christening before the royal website was changed to include Princess Lilibet Diana. This is the same family that went to war with an infant child over a name, claiming, and they didn't call out the press for it. They did not. They allowed the press to abuse Meghan, Harry, and Lilibet Diana, abused them by claiming that they did not ask permission to use the Queen's pet name from the family, the affectionate nickname Lilibet. Although they did ask the Queen, and Harry, being the dutiful grandson, the very respectful grandson, there's no way in the world he would have used that name without asking. Anyone in that close proximity to the line of succession, the monarch approves the name. The tabloid media is not going to tell you that, but I promise you, if you are going to have a title, the monarch approves the name. That is true. There's no way Harry would have not asked for permission. So that's why this matters, is because they have been actively trying to other those children. And asking about the baby's skin tone was highly insensitive given the very volatile atmosphere of the British aristocracy, the British society as a whole. That was not a nice thing to do. Asking about, knowing that the Sussexes have already been abused by people in the media, by some individuals in society. How dare you ask about the baby's skin tone? And the way it was asked, I wasn't there, I don't know, but it seemed like you would want to be a little extra careful. Harry was so upset by it, instead of keeping it to himself, he mentioned it to his wife, which is what he's supposed to do. At least give her the advantage of knowing that there is a potential threat to her unborn child. And that's exactly what he did. So I don't care if someone marries someone from Pakistan or India. Oh, and my aunt had asked during the party, the baby shower. I don't care about other people. I don't care about that. But as a Black person in a situation where I'm the only Black person, if someone asks me a question like that, you better believe that will be all that I'm thinking about. And for those who are not of the mind that you would just dismiss it as nothing, you're ignorant and stupid. You're ignorant and stupid, and you don't know a potential threat when you see one. I just don't trust people like that. You don't ask me certain questions unless you want me to feel uncomfortable. And that is something that would cause anxiety for me when it comes from certain individuals in certain situations. Meghan had already been abused in the media because of her race. She'd already been abused by members of that family because of her race. So asking a question like that would not have just been out of curiosity. That's someone who was sending a message. I am going to other your children. I don't know any other way to look at that. I'm going to other your children, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, sorry about that rant, you guys, but I just wanted to make sure that it's understood why this is a problem, why it was not a good look to ask about the child's skin tone. Not coming from that family, not to the Duchess of Sussex, who's already been abused by people in that country, by members of that family. Are you that dense and insensitive? You don't know when to not ask a question? The only reason to ask that question, as far as I'm concerned, is that you wanted to hurt Harry. This is, and if it did come from Charles, this is the same Charles who, on the day his mother died, decided to abuse Meghan, verbally abuse her to her husband. You've just become sovereign, and the only thing you could think of is to other Harry's wife, to set her aside during a time of national mourning. You decide that your son's wife, your daughter-in-law, is not fit to be present. I don't accept that. That is unacceptable. So if it was Charles and he was malicious enough to do that on the day his mother died, then I say he is potentially malicious, evil, and cruel enough to have asked that question, not out of a basic human curiosity, but to hurt Harry. He hurt Harry that day. Why wouldn't he have done it the other day? And any other occasion? That, I believe, is quite deliberate, and I've never felt any other way about it. I've never felt any other way about it. And if it's a matter of you not knowing what something like that feels like because you're not Black, you're not of African descent, I know Charles knows what it feels like when he went to boarding school and they found out who he was. And he thought because he's going to be king that he wasn't going to have a problem. Well, before they beat the snot out of him, they said, we don't care. He was othered all day long. He should understand what that feels like to be treated differently. He was bullied for it. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. It's not anything casual and innocent about it. I don't care about how much gaslighting people try to do. There's nothing casual and innocent about that. And I'm sorry that this is a distraction from what is supposed to be a time of growth and prosperity for the Sussexes. But unfortunately, the book is here. They're under attack, and I feel obliged to speak out about it. So I'm going to play a soundbite from Meredith about Hoghead. Okay, let me see. Where did I save that? Oh, I know where it is.
research into Piers Morgan for my series, there were so many.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I need to put it on my speaker. Sounds better coming from the speaker.
During my research into Piers Morgan for my series, there were so many examples of Piers changing his mind or contradicting himself.
Oh, Lord.
Make a separate video.
Okay, sorry about that.
During my research into Piers Morgan for my series, there were so many examples of Piers changing his mind or contradicting himself that I had to make a separate video. Here we go.
Marrying into a family which has, to put it mildly, a dodgy track record on race. It's not Meghan Markle's problem. It's their problem.
Whoop, there he is in 2020 saying that Meghan Markle is using the race card. He also then claims in January of 2022 that Prince Harry is the only racist in the British royal family. Okay. Moving right along, this article from November 2016, Meghan and I chatted for 90 minutes, long enough for me to get a good insight into the new royal girlfriend. Quote, Meghan's got beauty, brains, charm, and a great sense of humor. She's also an ambitious, hardworking, and talented actress with an impressive passion for things she believes in. Another quote, Harry, ignore all the poisonous rubbish you are reading or hearing about her. Meghan Markle is perfect princess material. Whoops, December 2018, Piers Morgan, Meghan Markle is a ruthless social climbing actress who has landed the role of her life and is determined to milk it for all she can. And that's why the palace is beginning to turn on her. Talk about all that poisonous, vile rubbish that you told Harry to ignore. This one is incredible. May 2018. Piers Morgan. Meghan's foolish father has no one to blame but himself for missing the biggest day of his daughter's life. 1 month later, I've changed my mind about Meghan's dad. He's just a shy, decent man struggling to deal with the mayhem of his little princess marrying a prince. Piers Morgan reveals the inside story of his incredible scoop. Here's one from September of 2022. Piers Morgan. Prince Harry's vow to honor his father and rein in Meghan Markle. So the spin here is that Meghan Markle needs to be controlled and reined in by Prince Harry. Oh, oops, December 2022, just 3 months later, Piers Morgan. Prince Harry surely knows deep down he's being manipulated by his wife into abandoning the country he once loved. So is she someone that needs to be reined in by her husband, or can she not be reined in because she's a master manipulator? And can you please stick to one storyline for the entire calendar year, dear God? So anyway, that's Piers fighting with Piers.
Okay. Let me see here. Oprah, TCC Son says Oprah interview. Camilla was Princess of Wales at the time. She is throwing cosplay under the bus because of the red dress. Camilla was scheduled to wear a red dress. Oh, yes, that's right. Candle in front of her. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me translate that in case you guys have missed any part of that. Thank you so much, TCC Son. Camilla was scheduled to wear a red dress for the state dinner. Greeting the president of South Korea and his wife, Kate wore red. And I don't mean just wore red, but shockingly red cape, which of course exaggerates her very slender frame and make her look much larger, right? It is a statement. She's wearing this red cloak. And of course, when she gets out the car, she just didn't emerge from the car. She flashed ankle, shin, knee, thigh, and thank goodness she stopped there. But she showed a lot of legs getting out the car. Bare, veiny, pasty legs to the world. Which, of course, was all people talked about, right? And by the time of the state dinner, when Camilla wore red with a set of red jewels, including a tiara, a necklace, and earrings, it had been done already. The impact of wearing the red was completely lost. So it is understandable that Camilla would have been a bit cross with her because of her usurping the entire situation by wearing red at the greeting that afternoon. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean it. And then with the candlestick, again, there are no accidents or mistakes with that family, not to that degree. You have Kate as one of the senior royals, and she's flanking the president of South Korea and Charles, along with the first lady of South Korea, and yet she has this huge candelabra in her face. And it even appeared as though one of the footmen or footwomen, footmen were, looking rather concerned about it. They do a placement. They bring in studio lights and cameras for the occasion because it is going to be beamed around the world. It is going to be shared in both countries principally, and then the rest of the world. Um, so yeah, that does seem like something that would have been more deliberate. So and I could think of. I said at the time, I don't recall the Queen ever seated in front of the throne like that. The Queen is usually in the middle of a very long table, but on this occasion, they sat all the way at the end in front of the thrones. So that was strange by itself. I don't think I've ever seen that configuration before. But thank you so much, TCC son. And thank you so much, everybody that's here, all 1,524 of you. Please make sure you hit the like button. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay, so I'm going to try to get caught up with the comments because, all right, we're good. All right, so right here, Meredith just spoke about Hoghead, Piers Morgan changing his mind. Well, not so long ago, I just posted a video, maybe a month ago, about Piers Morgan's praising of Prince Harry back in 2016, saying how great he would be as a future king. He pretty much reminded people exactly how dull and how uninterested William is in his future as sovereign. And I still think that that's likely the case. I think that the rather hostile nature that William has right now is him feeling insecure. Like they say, it's only a frightened dog that barks. And I believe that this shift in well, not really a shift. He's always been pretty hostile, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's afraid because the big job is coming, and he knows he's ill prepared. And so the best thing to do when you're not prepared for something is shift the blame to other people, to harass and target other people. So I think that's what his bad attitude is about, is that he's just not prepared. And maybe one of the ways he compensates for that is to try to actively campaign against his father to make him look bad, allegedly, possibly, if that's what's happening. But there's said to be um, problems with the two households. And it is very rare that you see Charles and William together. Now, Charles has the prince's trust. Charles is not going to live forever. Someone is going to have to take over the prince's trust. And yet, William, who hasn't done anything really until he was about 40 years old, he started the earth flop. Otherwise, William has nothing going for him. One of the nice things you could say about Charles is that in his 20s, when he left the military, when he left the Navy, he started the Prince's Trust. I believe it was the Prince's Trust with his salary from the Navy, his pension or whatever, and he's been doing it ever since with bags of money from Fortnum and Mason and all them other places. William, it took until age 40 before he actually found his voice. And that was only because he hired people to help him find a voice, not his voice, but a voice. And it's not going so well. It's not the big deal that they hoped it would be, but it's better than nothing. Kate, likewise, who has been around that family for over 20 years, rarely works in comparison to the rest of the family. And then she started this thing that she's doing that is really about awareness, but it doesn't really help people directly. It is something safe. It's a vanity project. Both of these are vanity projects. And so Piers Morgan cited the fact that Harry, at a very young age, started his Invictus games. And this is why the photos are featured here, is because of the success of Invictus. And there's Harry right there, someone who was terribly disfigured while serving in the military and maybe feeling a little self-conscious or insecure. And there is a prince of the realm planting a big, wet, sloppy kiss on her face. This is why people love Harry, is because Harry has that very common touch with people. He's genuine. And Piers Morgan knows that. But when the time came to be hostile toward Harry, he flipped that switch and went straight into hostility mode, and he's been there ever since. But when the time came for him to be hostile, he was hostile. Same with the Duchess of Sussex. When it was clear that it was to Piers Morgan's advantage to go on the attack, that's exactly what he did. So right here, breaking, Piers Morgan has named King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales, as the alleged royal racists in Omid Scobie's withdrawn Dutch book, meaning, of course, the book was taken off the shelves once it was discovered that there were names in it. And of course, now that I have discovered who owns the publishing company, well, that gives it a whole new complexion, no pun intended. Piers Morgan unwatched the limits of opportunism. Piers Morgan unwatched the limits of opportunism. So this, what was it, May of 2022? I think at the time they were speaking about his talk show on Talk TV. He is an opportunist. He's the ultimate opportunist. Um, and he's not alone. There are others. Now, this is Broken Piers Morgan. After he quit slash was fired from Good Morning Britain, he beat his chest and he said, I'm not broke and I have so many other projects. But for about a year, he was desperately trying to get back on Good Morning Britain, even sent his wife out to help petition for his job. And it didn't work. ITV was done with him. So he went back to his old friend, Rupert Murdoch, and that's why he's on Talk TV today, because nobody else wanted him. He's pretty much done in the U.S., working in the U.S. I'm not saying that he'll never work here again. He may have projects now, but for the most part, he doesn't really have the presence in the U.S. This is the man who was so, shall we say, what's the word I'm looking for? Incompetent, that he was given a golden ticket. The what's his name? The King Show, Larry King Show. He was given the Larry King Show, a show where you don't throw barbs at people, you don't take a moral high road, you just do the interview. It was on CNN. You got a huge audience, and he couldn't even make that work. He couldn't even make that work. So that's why I say I think he's just about done in the U.S. I don't think we should expect to see him frequenting American television ever again. And like I said, he's in good company, because there you have the former president of the United States, a professional victim, the white man who just cannot get a break, even though he's incredibly wealthy. Everything goes his way, but he just cannot get a break. Birds of a feather flock together. That is their claim to fame, is that they are just a regular guy. They're like everybody else. And the woke, the liberal, the blacks, everybody is making life difficult for them. Um, they love to target women. And of course, in Piers Morgan's case, he can never get enough of targeting black women, women of color. It's his specialty. But yeah, that's someone he should identify with very well is Donald Trump. Now, I did make a video. Let me see. Oh, you know what? Let me go back to the other slide because that's when I was going to play the video. Did I? Wait. Hold on a second. Let me see where I put it. Did I pass it up already? Huh. Interesting. Okay. I think the slide is out of place. Well, I don't really need the slide. Let me just go ahead and play it. And this is Robert Jobson. Oh, yeah. It should be Robert Jobson on the slide. Let me see. Robert Jobson calling out Piers Morgan. Robert Jobson understands Piers Morgan. Okay. I don't see Jobo. Okay, maybe I deleted the slide, but let me get on with it. Let me just go ahead and grab the video. I think I deleted the slide. Okay. But let me set it up for you. Well, I'll explain it.
I would say to Meghan Markle, look, sit down with me, with your husband, for an equally long interview to the one you gave Oprah Winfrey. And let me ask you more difficult questions about all your claims. But let me ask you a wider question, which is this. If you hate the royal family that much, why do you keep your royal titles?
Well, there you go. Jobbo, what do you reckon? What are the chances of Harry and Meghan actually doing an interview with Piers?
I would say zero. I mean, he's been telling a few porkies too. I mean, he keeps having to go at Meghan and Harry saying they've been telling a few whoppers, which they probably did in that Oprah interview. But he was saying he's had messages from the royal family thanking him for standing up to Meghan and Harry. I hope that was tongue in cheek because I'm pretty sure that he hasn't had messages from the royal family. Look, I think he should probably leave this now. I know that his job's gone on the back of it. I think it's time for him to move on, and I think most people would probably prefer him to go and get another job and let the Harry and Meghan question go.
So, Jobbo, over there, what do people think of him and this response?
Piers is fairly popular, and a lot of people were upset that he lost he gave up his role on the morning television slot. But, he's not down to his last few quid. I'm sure he'll rise again. I worked with Piers 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. And I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment.
Well, it's worked.
He's doing it well.
We're talking about him.
Look, I worked with Piers 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. Look, I worked with Piers 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. And I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, I just wanted to drive that point home just in case there was any doubt about it. He will always turn to the story to be about him. And that is how Piers Morgan has been operating for years. He makes the story about himself. So this is a big win for him today, that he managed to insert himself in the story. And of course, how he can run with something. He got so much mileage off of the Sussexes when he was on Good Morning Britain, right? He got so much mileage. So I wouldn't expect this is actually not a good thing for Harry and Meghan, because he is going to drag it out. Even when everybody else is done with it, knowing Piers Morgan, he'll make the most of it. But TB, Robert Jobson and Piers Morgan had a falling out some years ago. And they're cordial with each other, but they're not really the best of friends. And the same goes with Jeremy Clarkson. Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson had a falling out some years ago. They're very, very competitive, these writers, these journalists. They're very competitive. And while they will show solidarity on occasion, I don't think any of them are friends. That's why I depicted the uh, what is it, the rats on the subway fighting. That's really what it is. They're a bunch of rats, and sometimes they turn on each other. They will fight, but they do it very discreetly. So um, it's no surprise that Robert Jobson said that. Robert Jobson, when he wants to be a man of integrity, he's very capable of it. But that's not his bread and butter. He makes his money by doing the bidding of the royal family, and in particular Charles. And so there's been times when Robert Jobson has said some really nasty, negative things about William. I believe that was Charles briefing against his son. That's why I can believe that the two households are fighting. And also, Piers Morgan, who wrote that article about William, was briefing on behalf of somebody in that royal family. So they do that. A lot of times, see, it's easy to believe and dismiss these articles as just being clickbait. They're always going to be that. But they also are instructing, they're informing and instructing. That is one of the ways that the royal family communicate with one another, is by briefing, leaking, and of course, informing. And so when Robert Jobson wrote that article about William when he went skiing and didn't go to the Commonwealth ceremony that time, that was on behalf of the family. I'm going to say Charles, but possibly Charles doing it to help the Queen. But either way, the whole point of the story was, it's time to grow up. You're going to be king. You cannot disappear and go on vacations like that. The most important day for the Queen, Commonwealth Day, that's like the biggest part of her calendar, and he goes skiing. So different day, but it's still the same William. Okay. Yeah, and so as far as Piers Morgan is concerned, I believe that's all, Charles. Of course, I substituted Porky Pig for Piers Morgan, but yeah, he's signing off. That's all, Charles. Ooh. Bleep, bleep, bleep. That's all, Charles. Oh, man. So, again, he has a lot in common with Donald Trump. Just a couple of overstuffed Yetis making their way through life. A couple of big, overstuffed, overbearing Yetis. And, of course, Thomas Markle is probably one of the biggest Yetis. As you can see, the Yetis are these privileged Caucasian men who seem to have the whole world as their oyster, and yet they go about making trouble for women of color. Even if it's their own daughter, they cannot be trusted. They have some really loose morals and negative traits about them that has not evolved from the days when they were roaming the forest of the great Northwest or the Northern American continent. The Yeti has been amongst us all these years, and we just didn't know it. And they say that if a Yeti can see his shadow, we have 6 more weeks of winter. So I guess it's going to be a short winter. For some reason, when I saw this picture of Trump, it reminded me of that famous grainy footage of the Bigfoot. Remember that old video of the Bigfoot from years ago? When I saw that, for some reason, Trump reminded me of the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the Yeti. And anyway, chief amongst the Yetis is Thomas Marcos Sr. There he is in his natural habitat down in Rosarita, Mexico, rummaging through the convenience stores, sitting out on his patio overlooking the Pacific Ocean, and of course, talking to the British tabloid media. All of those are the frequent activities of that social obese creature known as the Yeti, or Thomas Marcos Sr., who, even though he had a stroke, you cannot shut him up. So I add Piers Morgan to the list of Yetis. And also, full disclosure, Thomas Marcos Sr., this is just a theory that I've had for a while. Some of you know it. Thomas Marcos Sr. appears to be the love child of Aunt B and Otis the Wino from the old Andy Griffith show. Nobody will ever be able to tell me different. If I could just get some DNA from Aunt B and Otis's family members and have it sequenced, I promise you that we are going to discover that somewhere hidden in that mound of beer-soaked flesh known as Thomas Markle, we are going to find that he was the product of a night of passion between two actors that seem so unlikely. But yeah, that is where he comes from. I submit to you the love child of Aunt B and Otis the Wino, Thomas Markle Sr. So a little change of topic. I think we need it right now. All right. Prince Harry announced his engagement to Meghan Markle on this day in 2017, meaning the other day, the 27th. Meghan wore the Parash fitted crew neck dress in double stretch wool crepe with a bow on the waist to meet the press at Kensington Palace. The style was later reissued as the Meghan. So they named that dress in her honor, renamed it the Meghan. And there you can see Meghan has the white coat, which also sold out, and of course, the green dress. And then here you can see Meghan actually wore it again. Stretch wool, perfect for someone expecting a child, I would say. Made a good maternity outfit for her. But yeah, so she wore it again. That's the only other occasion that I know that she's actually wore that dress. And then if you take a look here, this is a watershed moment for the anti-monarchy movement, with 1 in 3 now wanting to elect their head of state. With everything else that's going on, this is happening. Republic CEO Graham Smith reacts to the news of support for an elected head of state reaching a new high in Britain. Now, that is, I suppose, the whole of the population, right? But it breaks down by age groups. We already know that the millennials, the people under 40, they would prefer to have an elected head of state. And I think that number is about 45%, is it? It's a pretty high number. But if you were to sample the entire population of the UK, all 66 million more or less people, you would come up with 1 in 3. So that means that there must be some 22 million people. If my math doesn't fail me, that should be some 22 million people that would prefer to have an elected head of state. Interesting, right? 1/3. 2023 ends badly for the royal family with news. Savanta poll shows people's that is preference for having a monarchy in the UK at just 52% at the end of the coronation year. Those who prefer an elected head of state has climbed to 34%. When asked, what would you prefer in the UK, a monarchy or an elected head of state? A third said they would prefer to have an elected head of state. Speaking for Republic, Graham Smith said today, this is a watershed moment for the anti-monarchy movement, with 1 in 3 wanting to elect a head of state. Polling since the start of the year has consistently shown a big drop in support for the monarchy over the past decade. 2023 was supposed to be the year the royals secure their future. Wow. The palace had managed the transition from Elizabeth to Charles. To do that, they had to £250 million to spend on the most expensive PR extravaganza this country has ever seen. The royals were able to rely on more friendly media coverage than they could have ever hoped for, and a cavalcade of important people lining up to talk up its greatness, history, importance, and necessity. Yet all of the efforts and expense has failed to shift the dial in their favor. Instead, the year ends with a record number wanting to elect UK's head of state, with 1 in 3 people now preferring a republic. This issue has to be addressed seriously by politicians and media. We are not a nation of royalists, and in time we will become a nation that overwhelmingly wants the monarchy gone. The question now is if, but when the monarchy is, the question is now, one more time, and I'm looking at it too. The question is now not if, but when the monarchy is abolished. Mythology, Savanta interviewed 2,283 UK adults ages 18 plus online between the 24th and 26th of November 2023. Data were weighed to be representative of the UK by age, sex, religion, and social grade. Savanta is a member of the British Polling Council and abides by its rules. So they're in trouble, y'all. They are in big trouble. It really does not make sense that you could have had this huge coronation. I almost forget the coronation was this year, but the coronation was this year. And yet, even though they had the coronation out of spite on Archie's birthday, it did not move the dial. If anything, it's making matters worse. So that poll does not include under 18. And if you get to the under 18, if they were able to count the under 18, they'd be in so much more trouble, wouldn't they? Because the younger you get, the less interest there is in the monarchy. Almost as a rule, the younger you get, the less interest there is in the monarchy. The further down the age group you go, the less interest there is. We've all seen the photos of the children being paraded to elevate and uplift the royal family. They're handed those flags and things. But almost as many times as you see some kids that are supposed to be enthusiastic, more often than not, you see kids that they're bored out of their minds. They're not smiling for the cameras. They're not smiling in spite of the cameras. They're just not smiling. They don't care about the monarchy. And someone said that those kids are, they're taken out of their class or whatever. They have to be on their best behavior. You know, it's almost like extortion. Well, after this, there's going to be food, that kind of thing. And the kids just aren't buying it. So take a look here. Support for an elected head of state hits new high. Yeah, that's this what you can see where the red arrow is, just like the yellow placards with the black letters, "Not My King," is growing in popularity. The movement is growing in popularity, and Charles is less and less visible. William is, his goose is cooked. I'm telling you, I can understand why you guys say that they are working very hard to protect William and Kate. I get it. Mostly William. They're trying to protect William. William is the most important person out of the entire group of senior royals. William is the most important because he is going to be the next king. And the only hope they have is that William will somehow manage to elevate people's sensibilities and elevate their mood in regards to the royal family. Otherwise, they will lose more and more support. So I have another soundbite. Now, this one, I think it was from today. This one is from today. Or was it from, no, I think it was from yesterday. Let me find it. Oh, you know what it was? Let me just find the soundbite instead of trying to go back and forth about. Okay.
To do. So it's just unpleasant, nasty tittle-tattle, and I think it really is not to be taken seriously.
But it will be taken seriously, presumably, in the royal household, as you say. If there were to be any kind of sign that there was going to be a thaw in relations, there won't be now.
Well, I mean, I feel that, you know, Charles will probably always, I mean, if, you know, any father would probably want a rapprochement with his son. But I think there's so many barriers that are being put up. And also, Charles is incredibly busy. And until he can see a bit of light in the darkness of this relationship, he's not going to go out of his way to keep trying to ring Harry. I mean, I just feel that it's, I think that Scobie doesn't really, also he doesn't name anyone.
Right.
He doesn't even say, I mean, a palace source, why on earth would anyone from Buckingham Palace talk to him now? I mean, it's just inconceivable.
Yes.
And I think, but it is his opinion, and he has certainly generated himself a huge amount of publicity.
Yes, and I mean, the book, I think, has already come out in Australia because they're ahead of time, basically, with us. And an awful lot of the revelations that we're learning are from people who have seen that book. But, I mean, it's a very thinly veiled attack, isn't it? And, you know, as much as people say, well, you know, he's being even-handed in this and it's not anything that he's doing on behalf of anybody else. I mean, it's a bit like having some kind of ridiculous, former fiance or something who won't shut up, having left and gone and having been quite happy to leave and go. And I'm saying that about either sex, by the way. And they just won't stop whining. And that's what it sounds like.
You're absolutely right. I think that's a really good description. He won't stop whining. He's incapable of pressing that stop button. But remember, he is doing this for a reason, and he's doing it to make money. And presumably, he will make money.
Yeah.
But at what cost? I mean, it's just a horrible cost to make people to do.
Okay, so there was that. Let me see. Is this one different?
Certainly not going to read it or take it seriously. William might be a bit hurt because he comes into quite a battering, and he would feel very protective of Catherine, who is accused of giggling
and not, only being happy when she's smiling for the cameras, or an inability to do anything else other than smile at the cameras. Well, I've seen that girl abseiling down a mountain, rowing, playing tennis, playing rugby. I mean, she's the most active Princess of Wales we've ever had, and probably ever likely to have. So I really feel that what Scobie's saying is just really unpleasant and untrue stories to get publicity, which he has certainly got.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that it looks like sour grapes, doesn't it? Because we've seen in the sort of, the run-up to this book being published, lots of stories appearing in the papers, which appear to be from at the very least, friends of or people close to the Sussexes, suggesting there was a phone call of rapprochement made, suggesting that there was kind of a possibility that they might come back for Christmas, talk of Harry looking for somewhere to stay here, almost as though that was kind of orchestrated in preparation for this kind of wham bam, no thank you, man, as they would say.
I mean, all those things are quite possible to have happened. It's not very. Harry might, have wanted to come over for Christmas. I thoroughly doubt it, but maybe he did, and maybe he does want somewhere to stay here where he feels safe. I mean, these are stories that have been going around for some time, and I just think that if the Sussexes, as they say, are not involved, why on earth they issue a personal statement saying we had absolutely nothing to do with this book, and we do not agree with any of the opinions. They are purely the opinions of Omid Scobie. That would, at least give them a bit of ground.
Well, it might do, but nobody would believe them, surely, after everything that's happened, because Omid Scobie kind of came out of nowhere. I remember laughing my socks off when he claimed that he'd worked in Fleet Street and he knew what a terribly toxic environment was. It turned out he'd been on a job on Mirror Online for about 2.5 nanos.
So, as you can see, like I said, the tactic here is to keep calling Omid out as a liar. To a greater extent, to a lesser extent, they're still doing the same. I've even heard them say the 17 things that the Sussexes lied about in the Oprah interview. That has been pulled out again. So it's almost as though the Oprah interview was last week and Omid's book came out the next week. That's what it seems like. They seem to have gone back to the Oprah interview. Of course, that is where, the idea of a racist in the family started with the Oprah interview. So that's no surprise. But the talking points that they're using for Omid's book are the same talking points that they used from the interview. And as usual, it's always interesting how everybody seems to be on the same page and saying the same thing. All of the royal reporters and tabloid journalists, they all have the same talking points. Here's a tweet from Omid that one of the squaddies shared. May the 28th, 2022. Spot the difference? On the left side, no white roses for your dad. Meghan Markle is slammed for making surprise appearance at the site of the Texas school massacre while refusing to visit estranged dad, Thomas Yeti Markle, after he was hospitalized with a stroke. And as we mentioned earlier, the maskless Kate Middleton lays daffodils from Kensington Palace as she pays emotional visit to Sarah Everard's memorial because she remembers what it felt like to walk around London at night. If I was her, I wouldn't be pleased that they added that last part, but whatever. But yeah, against the rules at a time when they were telling people to stay home, maskless Kate Middleton. And what's very poignant about this, Boris Johnson and people at Number 10 got in trouble for a mass gathering at a time when people were not able to go to funerals. And there's a maskless Kate Middleton at a mass gathering. And of course, she was there for publicity. And this is the event where they put Meghan's name on the police report. So Omid Scobie has been calling out the royals long before this book. I mean, you can see right there, spot the difference. He's been doing this for quite some time. And the book is just, another occasion, the latest occasion, and the biggest, where he has called out that institution. But that was May the 28th. That was over a year ago. And he was using that type of language in reference to the royal family. Oh, did I do it twice? Yes, I guess I did. But yeah, spot the difference. And I don't know if you could see the tweet that they shared at the Daily Mail. Meghan is absolutely disgusting. Meghan is disgusting, but Kate, the English Rose, is justified even though she violated a police order, a mandate to stay home. And even the other tweet, I can barely see it. It says, "What a despicable vulture." Now, what do you call it? The families were glad that the Sussexes were there. If I recall, didn't Meghan make a donation to help pay for the funerals? And of course, let us not forget Kaboom, Meghan and Harry's, the Archwell Foundation involvement with Kaboom for a safe space where the kids can play, right? So, as we know, when the Sussexes get involved, they don't just do it for the cameras. They are involved from start to finish. They stay in touch with those agencies, individuals, not-for-profits, victims, whatever the case. When the Sussexes get involved, they stay involved. They don't just do it for the day. It's not just for the cameras. They don't pass on or delegate any responsibility for those connections to a staff person. That is something that they've been doing themselves and will continue to do that. Now, Kate. Kate always seems to have had problems with Black people of color in particular, but Black people always. If you all remember when Kate and William were traveling around these United States, they were doing their tour of the U.S. This was after they married in 2011. I think Kate is pregnant here. I think so. I think she's pregnant here. Anyway, they wanted to go to a basketball game, and LeBron James posed for a photo. Look at Kate's face. Look at her face. She wants to run desperately to get away from him. Oh, she wants to get away from him. Now, William, on the other hand, he is happy as can be because, William once slept rough with a Black man, so he seems to be a bit partial to Black men, and he's okay with it. But Kate, not so much. And you would think that this was just a fluke, right? Wrong. This is something that always happens. This always happens. She appears to cringe when there's just too much of Black people around her or too many Black people. She tends to cringe. She becomes very rigid. Now, that doesn't mean that she's a racist, but it just, by chance and strictly by coincidence, if you will, she seems to kind of freeze when she just happens to be around people of color. There she always goes goofy. Don't understand it. William is happy as he can be. Kate, not so much. And by the way, thank you to the squatty who shared these on the social media today. And right there, Kate's tricky year. How being broody, turning 35, and the danger of being overshadowed by Harry's charismatic girlfriend could prove testing for the Duchess in 2017. The Duke and Duchess could be moved to London after being in Norfolk. Prince William's East Anglian air ambulance service work could end in March. The Duchess, speaking of course of Kate, who is turning 35 this year, is also rumored to want a third child. Meghan Markle could also be a threat to Kate due to her philanthropic efforts. Now, right here, the Daily Mail is showcasing the fact that Meghan has always had a spirit of humanitarianism, philanthropic endeavors. She's always worked. She's done a lot in her young life. And so this article from January 2017 is saying that if Harry's girlfriend marries into the family, that is going to be a problem for Kate. Let me see, who wrote this? Thomas Thornton for the Daily Mail? Yeah, someone even said it back then, that this is going to spell trouble for Kate. And right there it says, if Harry succeeds in marrying Miss Markle, her philanthropic activities could provide Kate with serious competition. The yoga-loving actress is an ambassador for Canadian charity World Vision and said, while my life shifts from refugee camps to red carpets, I choose them both because these worlds can, in fact, coexist. This type of work is what feeds my soul and fuels my purpose. On the other hand, if Harry and his American lover don't marry, and he has to spend more years trying to find a bride, there will be even greater pressure on the Cambridges to satisfy public expectations. This is a lovely, lovely glimpse back in time. Again, one of the Sussex Squad Detective Agency people shared this today, and they even made the comment with their tweet. They said, January 17th, Meghan Markle could also be a threat to Kate due to her philanthropic efforts. If Harry succeeds in marrying Miss Markle, her philanthropic activities could provide Kate with serious competition. No wonder Kate was cold and unwelcoming from the start. No wonder Kate was cold and unwelcoming from the start. Tash Max says, I knew as soon as Meghan came into the picture that Kate would have another child. Her jealousy makes her predictable. Huh, I like that. Her jealousy makes her predictable. Okay, thank you for that. You know, out of all the things that was shared today, there was some good stuff. This one is my favorite. It was a prediction foreshadowing the trouble down the road. It predicted a third child. It predicted the competition, although it's very one-sided because Meghan wins hand down. It also reminds us that Meghan was seen as a humanitarian and a philanthropist long before she married into that family. So I am honored and privileged and happy that I was able to share this with you. Now, let's look at some of today's headlines. Royal United against mischief-making smears. So they go back to the Queen's funeral to find some photos of Charles and William looking as though they are in formation to fight off the enemy, when the truth is this is the Queen's funeral and they were in uniform that day with white gloves and all. This is to make them look strong and decisive, and even more so that they are actually getting along with one another, right? That's what this headline is supposed to do, is to remind you that they are a family and that they are father and son, and together they will defeat any enemy, right? Not the fact that there seems to be some petty infighting that is being exposed yet again because of Endgame. And then here on the right side, race row, royal pair named on TV show. And that, of course, is in reference to that hoghead Piers Morgan, the former editor of News of the World. Someone who denies being involved, well, actually, will not admit to being involved with phone hacking. I don't know that he's directly denied it, but I know he doesn't admit it. So, and then over here, outrage as royals in Scobie's book Race Row named on TV. That was the Daily Mail. Daily Express says Piers Morgan names 2 royals in racist book era row. Oh, yeah, as I said, it seems to have dominated the headlines. Piers Morgan. What am I saying? I'm sorry. Prince Harry, Britney Spears memoir leads Apple top books of 2023 list. Yet another honor for the Duke of Sussex. In addition to unveiling the top selling books of the year, Apple Books also launched year-end review feature that helps readers celebrate their top titles, authors, and genres. So you got that. And let me see. I think we're almost done, y'all. Take a look at this. Family. The family is one of nature's masterpiece. One of the derangers. Well, you know what? I shouldn't call them a deranger because I don't know that they've ever said anything against the Sussexes, but apparently they are royalists. They shared that AI photo. They shared that AI photo of Will and Kate compared to the diamonds falling from the sky that we all know is Harry and Meghan. Look at how the diamonds are dancing around them as they walk together in the rain. It was like diamonds. So on the left, a computer generated fantasy, and on the right, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. So glad we got the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Yeah. AI or the real deal. Thank you. I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you. TMCD. Thank you very much. Yes. Did you notice that the computer was actually very generous and threw some hair up on top? The computer is very, very generous. It has managed to give William a hair on top. And then one of the derangers, which I didn't mention here, but one of the derangers said, oh, wouldn't you know it? The same magazine that Meghan Markle was introduced to the world is the same magazine that has given Omid Scobie this, great interview or article or whatever. But Vanity Fair, Omid Scobie isn't afraid to burn bridges with his new royal family book, Endgame. And over here, you can see Meghan Markle, Wild About Harry. Different authors. And of course, Meghan's is from September of 2017, and Omid's, of course, is from this week. But yeah, I guess they do have that in common, that it doesn't mean anything. There's no connection. It's just that Omid got a nice interview article in Vanity Fair, and so did Meghan. No big deal. But it just goes to show the desperation that they have over in Derangerville, that they are trying to find every conspiracy, every little link that is going to somehow prove that the Sussexes are the guiding force behind the book Endgame, and that they are conspiring to bring down the monarchy. Right? Right. Peter Hunt said, latest royal affliction in infecting even the BBC. Omid Scobie plus Harry plus Meghan equals pylon, a diversionary tactic that avoids addressing the bigger picture, which is what Legg said. It's a diversion. Legg said they are just trying to divert attention from other things. And that's what Peter Hunt said. So, Leggs, if you're still on, I just want you to know that you are in good company. Peter Hunt says the same thing that you and others have said, and that is that it is all just a bunch of diversionary tactics. Connie Balmer! Good morning, Connie Balmer. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Connie Balmer. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Switzerland. And in case you guys haven't heard, Connie Balmer was nice enough to send me a genuine Swiss cowbell. It is my new favorite thing. So thank you again, Connie Balmer, for that. And thank you for the delicious chocolates, a genuine Swift knife, and enough Ricola to get me through the entire winter. Okay. Well, did someone mention pole dancing earlier? Anyway, there's the first ladies of the United States, 4 of the surviving first ladies of the United States. You have, in order of appearance, Hillary Clinton, Miss Laura Bush, and of course, there's the double Ivy League educated Michelle Obama, and there's the college dropout, Melania. Melania decided that it didn't make sense to wear black when you can stick out like a sore Slovenian and wear a speckled gray overcoat. Now, they said she had a black dress on underneath. I don't know if it's just me, but it almost seems as though 3 of the first ladies are staring down one of the first ladies. Well, on the left, it looks like 2 of them are giving her the side eye. And on the right, it seems like all 3 of them are like, what are you doing? Now, one of the children of Rosalind Carter said that she would be so proud to know that she managed to bring some very different people together. And just in case you missed it, behind them is the vice president and Doug Emhoff, who is the second gentleman. Otherwise, if their roles were reversed, he would be known as the vice president and she would be the second lady. So this is a very interesting photo. It just shows the ever-growing diversity in politics in the presidency, that you could have, there's a black first lady, and Melania is only the second first lady that was born outside of the United States. And then, of course, there is a black Asian vice president and her husband. So major diversity. Things have changed a lot since 1976 when Jimmy Carter was elected president. And then, of course, I had to go to the dark side. I had decided that I have been somewhat civil, but after all, I'm still me. And you remember I made a comment last week about how they love to say that, well, how did I put it? You know how they said over and over again, they look at Kate, the real yacht girl, and say classy. And Meghan, they tend to look down upon Meghan, who happens to have African roots. Well, it was the same. And I even mentioned that. I said, I've seen this before. Same thing with the first ladies. As soon as Trump was unlawfully elected president through a means of deception and coercion and such, the first lady all of a sudden was white again. We went from the double Ivy League educated Michelle Obama, the master's degree educated Laura Bush, the Ivy League educated Hillary Clinton, and I don't know what Barbara Bush had. And then, of course, there's Rosalind Carter. And the college dropout, whose image I had to redact because she was showing way too much. And I'm not even going to tell you where her hands are. I'm not even going to say that. But I had to cover it up. But that's what I was telling you guys about. Melania Trump, the classiest first lady in our country. The classiest first lady our country has ever had, Reverend Franklin Graham. The classiest first lady. I'm just going to say one of the best first ladies we've ever had, one of the bravest first ladies we ever had was Eleanor Roosevelt, not only because of how she lived her life as the first lady, not because she was the longest serving first lady, but also because after leaving the White House, Eleanor Roosevelt did not have Secret Service protection. She did not have the support of the FBI or any other law enforcement. At a certain point, she had to carry a pistol because she had been threatened so much. Eleanor Roosevelt, who spearheaded a lot of the policies in the Franklin Roosevelt administration that was beneficial to African Americans, among others, that Eleanor Roosevelt was probably the best first lady we ever had, and a very brave woman on top of that. And she never gets the credit she deserves. But Eleanor Roosevelt was a force, and I do mean a force. But we've had some very good first ladies, and I would say that all of them that I know of had class. And then we get to the college dropout, the one who went on television and decided to co-sign her husband's birtherism. And that's the reason why I don't like her, is because of her birtherism. The woman from Slovenia, the Eastern European born woman from Slovenia, went on American television and said, but people want to know about his birth certificate. The people want to know. Girl, you ain't even supposed to be here. You ain't even supposed to be here with your Albert Einstein visa. You ain't even supposed to be here. She went on television, and I want you to think about that while you're looking at Michelle Obama and wondering what she's thinking. This is the woman who went on television and told the world that her husband needs to present his birth certificate. He needs to show his birth certificate. The people want to see it. The people have a right to know. Oh, I almost said something. Let me catch myself before I say the wrong thing. But I'm just saying, you ain't even supposed to be here. You are not supposed to be here. And for the Slovenian person who ain't even supposed to be here herself, the woman who lied about having a college degree, a degree in architecture of all things. Right there in that photo on the left, you have 3 of the best educated first ladies. Even Jackie O, who was born in another time and place, Jackie O was very well educated, could speak Italian, French, Spanish. And then there's the Slovenian who claims to speak 5 languages, but yet the fluent in French First Lady had an interpreter when she went to France. All she said in French was, "Hi, my name is Melania." And the school children, everything that they said to her, guess what? The interpreter had to explain it to her. They had to explain it because she really can't speak French. She can speak Russian, she can speak Slovenian, and she can dabble in English. And that's it. She does not speak Italian. She doesn't speak German. She doesn't speak any of those other languages. Those are the 3 languages she knows. That was a lie as well. And yet you had all of these Republicans, these right-wingers going around telling people, oh, we finally got some class in the White House. She met her husband at a cocktail party, which may be a euphemism, but she met her husband at a cocktail party. And I will leave it at that. I'll let you figure out the rest of it. That is the only other first lady that we've ever had that was born outside of the United States. I think it was Dolly Madison, perhaps. Not that that's a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But then you get here through an Einstein visa, even though you're one of the dumbest people on this side of creation. Let us not forget she plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech. The plagiarizer is sitting there wearing a gray coat. This is the same one who went on the campaign trail and said, but he needs to show his birth certificate. He must show his birth certificate. The American people have a right to know. The American people want to see his birth certificate. Y'all, I'm telling you, when I tell you I get hot, my face gets warm when I think about that. My face is just flush. The people want to see a birth certificate. The people have a right to know. The people want to see his birth certificate. You know, there's certain things, whatever your race is, there's certain things that you shouldn't say to certain people, okay? And white people in America, which is what I was talking about when I was mentioning Archie's skin color, in certain circumstances, it's just certain things you shouldn't say. And to be curious about a child's skin complexion, skin color, can be very innocent in the right circumstances. But if you're a member of the royal family, you probably should stray away from that, especially when somebody black is in the family. If you are the white um, first lady, that, or should I say, if you're running with your husband, if your husband running for president, you want to be first lady, don't go around asking people, where is the first and only black president we ever had? Where is his birth certificate? That's not something you want to do. And so I'm amazed that she showed up in the first place. But I will never ever have any respect for her. I tell you what, I'm in the spirit of Prince Harry. If she apologizes for it, then I'll be cool with it too. But until she apologizes, I'm just not. I'm just not. That was not cool. Christy Mack, thank you so much for being here. Let me see here. Reba Henderson says, First Lady Laura Bush is giving that skank face, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's not a very nice person. She's not a very nice person. That was so shady. You know, Trump harassed the Barack Obama for 5 years. Trump did everything he could to deny Barack Obama's legitimacy as president for 5 years before the election. I'm not talking about 5 years after. 5 years before the election night in 2016, Donald Trump went on a campaign to delegitimize Barack Obama. And that Michelle Obama could have enough grace to sit there with her is very dignified under any circumstance, even if it's a funeral, because that woman went on American television, and the first and only black president, she demanded in the name of the American people that Barack Obama needs to show his birth certificate. And anybody who wants to gaslight, it's all very innocent, isn't it? Well, we're just asking to see his birth certificate. You know, during Jim Crow, or during slavery for that matter, during Jim Crow, they had the Green Book where black people had to be afraid to travel across the country. During slavery, a freed black man or woman had to show their papers. An enslaved black man or woman had to show their papers. And so that is why it's so upsetting that Donald Trump, who seems to be racially insensitive anyway, demands that the black president show his papers. And then just the day before election, do y'all remember this? Donald Trump went on television and said, Barack Obama was born in America, end of story, and he has never mentioned it again. For 5 years, you wouldn't stop talking about it, but just to make sure that you do something to help with the polls in the 11th hour, you decide to say, oh yeah, Barack Obama is American. He was born here in the United States, and that's that. And he never spoke about it again. Never spoke about it again. So for anybody out there who wants to try to gaslight and say asking about the child's skin tone was just an honest question, it's just about as honest as asking for a black person to show their birth certificate. If it wasn't for if it wasn't for Meghan they wouldn't be asking Harry about his visa. They're only asking Harry about his visa because he's married to a black person. All the rules change. It always does. So that is why I have no time for Melania. And I will never forgive her. Ever. Ever. That was just very, very ignorant of her. And she doesn't deserve to be there. But as she was the first lady, and of course, it's a time to be cordial and everything, but I will never, ever forgive her. And for anybody who says, oh, well, she's wearing a black dress, this is the same person who had a coat that said, I don't care, do you? She talks through her clothes. When she wears things, she's sending a message. So there's nothing innocent about her wearing that gray coat. She wanted to stick out, and she is. She wanted to stand out against the backdrop of the other first ladies. So again, when someone says classiest first lady we ever had, that is really rubbing it in the face of, whatever you think about their politics, at least they were classy. And then Melania comes in and upsets the whole apple cart. I do not like her. Anyway, but let's not make the day about her. Rosalind Carter, someone who I respect a great deal, they had her funeral today, and Jimmy Carter, who they had asked him to stay home, but he said there was no way he was going to miss it. 99 years old. He had been given months to live about 5 years ago when he had the brain tumor. And then he's been in hospice ever since February. And well, he's still going strong. So I hope he keeps chopping away at that record as the longest living president in the history of the United States. He's outlived all of them, and I hope he gets some more years. He is the most honest president we've ever had. I'm not starting an argument. That's just how I feel. I think he was the last honest president we ever had. The man has integrity, and that is something that is indisputable. Whether or not you think he was the most honest one is up to you, but that's how I feel about it. He was the most honest president we ever had. And and by the way, you guys, I'm just about done. Yeah, as a matter of fact, this is the last slide. Thank you, Christy. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is, of course, it's not an official Christmas card, but this is like an interpretation of a very Sussex Christmas. You have the twin trees in the background, which supposedly represent Harry and Meghan, and you have Lilibet in the arms of her mother, and there's Archie with their canine companions, and there they are on the very grassy lawn of the stately, palatial, opulent, picturesque Sussex Manor, right there in Montecito, Santa Barbara County, California, USA. And of course, as we always say, there are no leaks in Montecito. So anyway, you guys, thank you very much. It was a lot to get through today, and we'll see what it's like tomorrow. I suppose this is going to continue a bit, but I hope and pray that this doesn't have a detrimental effect on anything the Sussexes are doing or planning to do. It's not supposed to. It shouldn't. But right now, the British media is spinning out of control to try to create a narrative to damage the Sussexes and to protect Willie Leaks. So let's hope and pray that this doesn't have any effect on their future endeavors. After all, it is Christmas time. Christmas is going to be here in a month, less than a month, right? Yeah. In what, 25 days? Oh, it's coming up fast, you guys. So, yeah, I hope that by Christmas, all of this is far behind us. I'm glad. I'm glad. And if you remember, there were some people who were very edgy, even against the book. But I said, and you can go back and verify this, I said, I hope it's not damaging or disruptive to the Sussexes in so many words. But I'm glad for the exposure. I'm glad to put a little tarnish on some very privileged people who have been using Harry and Meghan to build up their image. They have done a lot to use the Sussexes as a means to ingratiate themselves with the wider public. And now those very same people are sitting up there treading water. They're fighting for their very existence. And I'm glad for it. I'm glad for it. Not happy for the impact, the potential impact for the Sussexes, but I'm glad that the truth is getting is getting a wider audience. That's what I'm happy for. And by the way, good night, you guys. I'm so finished right now. So please don't stay up any later than you have to, so you can have a productive day tomorrow. And for those of you that are starting your day, I hope you have a very productive day today. But yeah, so that's how I feel. I'm glad that the truth, the real truth, is seeing the light of day, whatever that truth is. Cookies and Cream says, please continue to pray for the Sussexes, each other, and the world. Christy says, good night, guys. I have to replay this. Please do. Good night, Church Nelly. Who else is going to sleep now or doing something else? Yeah, always be open-minded and see if there's some alternative thing going on, right? Got to be aware. Oh, thank you so much, Adrian Burrow. Really? Oh, I didn't realize that. You know, I guess she's got a heart set on going back to the White House, but I would have so much respect for her if she would apologize for some of the stuff, but I don't believe there's an apology in her. She and Dunod, as she refers to her husband, she and Duno are more alike than they are different. She is just another Duno. Her and Duno are so much alike. Yeah, Marshall. She had a spirit of uniting people, so she wasn't trying to divide. She was trying to unite. And it is the path to healing society, is if people can unite and have a common ground. That is so true that people should unite. You know, you don't have to agree with everybody, but the world would be a better place if people respected each other's differences and tried to find common ground. As a matter of fact, you guys know that at the funeral, someone sang that song from John Lennon. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. Yeah, they played that song at the funeral. Oh, Maria, I do too. I do too. Omid is in a very vulnerable position right now. He is. He may have to leave the UK, I suspect. I mean, I hope he doesn't have to, but um, he may want to at this point. You know, Pam Porter, do you remember when Melania Trump stayed in New York all that time after the election, after they were supposed to move to the White House? She said she was staying in New York so her son can go to school. You know, I don't ever talk about how much public money is spent on behalf of the first family because that comes with the job. But I'm going to tell you, the woman who demanded that Barack Obama show his birth certificate, tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money was spent for her to stay in New York while Donald Trump was at the White House. And she was in New York for months. I think, let me see, the inauguration was the January the 21st, 22nd. And she didn't go to the White House until I think June. Now, some people said that she was negotiating a new prenup. But whatever the case was, there was no regard for the taxpayers when she stayed in New York and they had to keep a full Secret Service detail at the Trump Tower. The Secret Service had to pay for office space because wherever the Secret Service are, they rent or lease property to protect the presidents, past, present, they or future for that matter. They pay. So if you like, for instance, the Clintons, their estate, the Secret Service built a command center and they pay a lease to the Clintons to be on that property. The same for the Obamas, and not just for your principal property, but for all of your principal properties. So your home, your vacation home, will have Secret Service protection. You have a second home, it is monitored by the Secret Service. So I don't want to, be accused of singling her out, but I'm just saying at the taxpayer's expense, they had to keep a full Secret Service detail as if she was still in Washington or traveling out the country. They kept a full Secret Service detail in Manhattan at the Trump Tower because she refused to go to Washington, D.C. More money was spent protecting the Trump family in 1 year than they spent in 8 years of the Obamas. Check it out if you don't believe me. More money was spent in 1 year of the Trumps than 8 years of the Obamas. True story. But I guess if you got that much class, you got to pay for it. Mary Kate McCausland? Thank you for telling me that. I didn't know it. By the way, you guys, there was a great eulogy for Rosalind Carter. I'm going to find the link and share it with you. Yeah, there was a great eulogy. There was a memorial service, and it was at the memorial service, not at the funeral. So Gonna find that link and share. It was one of her grandsons, and he was brilliant, brilliant. And people have been talking about it ever since. So definitely something you'd want to check out. Oh, it looks like Duchess of Success is scheduled to be on in 5 hours, you guys. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, it looks like Pedo of Facts and 2 Cents is scheduled to be on in 5 hours. Yeah, so Facts and 2 Cents and Duchess of Success, they are both scheduled for 7 a.m. my time. But you could always watch one and then go back and watch the other. So, wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, they both picked 7 a.m. Central Time. Okay. All right, so there's the link to the eulogy. I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat. So again, it was very good. If you really want to know Rosalind Carter, the grandmother, that is a good source right there. Okay. Wow. What a blessed couple. 77 years of marriage. 77 years of marriage. That's a lifetime. Oh, from the coffee shop. Oh, you have a coffee shop? Wow, that is so cool. I used to fantasize about owning a coffee shop. I had it all mapped out in my head. Let's see. Baron, do you think we should pick an Archwell charity to donate for the holidays? What do you think? You know, that would be a good idea. I usually kind of go along with whatever other people are doing. So if someone can find a charity where we can have a direct link to that charity, I will definitely throw my support behind it. So yeah. Oh yeah, Lydia, he was awesome. Oh, Lisette Zog, thank you so much for the super sticker. Oh, wait, there we go. Thank you very much. And also thanks for being a member. And is it Daisy Ness? Let me see. All the fuss around Endgame just made me pre-order and start reading immediately. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Yeah, that must be super cool having a coffee shop, helping people start their day, giving people that place to relax. That has got to be cool. Playing some nice music and all those comfortable seats. And yeah, there's just something really cool about a nice coffee house. I would love to have a coffee house. That would be so cool. Maybe that's something I should think about. A coffee house. I'll call it Royal Sussex Coffee. Or the Sussex Set. Or what else? Yeah, I'll think of something. That'd be so cool. A coffee house. You know, there's already a charity, a squatty that has that. the Scotty's Little Soldiers. There's someone else who's doing it right now, which I neglected to share on the community tab. But there is a Scotty's Little Soldier with one of these squatties already. I'll see if it's still going, and if it is, then I'll find the link for it and put together something for the community tab. But I know you all was thinking something more of a Christmas theme, right? Let's wait and see what the Sussexes are going to do on their Archwell. And then maybe we can just do that, because I'm sure they're going to do something for Christmas. I am so sure they're going to do something for Christmas. I'm going to go and take a look at the Archwell right now and see if there's anything on there. It appears the last thing they posted was the Scotty's Little Soldiers. No, Prince Harry named Global. Yeah, that was the last thing they had, November 9th. But let's wait and see if they don't do something first. That way we don't, we won't have that conflict, I suppose. Well, Pam Porter, you know what they say. Jimmy Carter has been beating the odds his whole life. And so if that is the unspoken rule, I wouldn't count him out just yet. He may be the longest living person to have ever been in hospice. I mean, this is the man that beat a brain tumor. A brain tumor. And he's still here. So yeah, I wouldn't count him out just yet. Yeah. I don't know, you guys. Ever since he survived that brain tumor, I wouldn't have an expectation or anything like that. This man survived a almost fatal brain tumor, and he's still here. So yeah, you can throw out the rule book on this one. He's an exceptional person through and through. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna go because I want to go and see some more of the posts and everything to do with actually, you know what? I need to finish the book. That's what I need to do. I need to finish the book. And I have the audio version, and I'm stuck on chapter 6, I think. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to look for my Christmas lights. Oh, by the way, I don't know who bought Christmas lights for me last year, but thank you so much, because I know I threw out some that had gone bad, but I got a brand new box of my favorite Christmas lights that someone had purchased from the wish list. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to go run an errand. I got to go find some more Christmas lights because I threw out a big set of lights last year. And I want to put up some Christmas lights. It helps to get me in the mood. What am I saying tomorrow? I should say today. Today I'm going to go shopping for some Christmas lights. I was even thinking about ordering from Amazon, but they're not delivering before the 5th of December, which means that it'll probably come early, but I want to put my lights up as soon as possible. They don't have a big selection in the stores anymore. They never have the big selection. So I want to put up the new lights, and hopefully I still have some of the old ones. I got to see what I got, but I had bought a star last year and my star just died. I mean, it just completely went out. So, but yeah, love putting up lights for Christmas. And my Christmas tree. So I'm going to listen to Harry and I'm going to put my Christmas tree up. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, the architect of calamity died today, Henry Kissinger, age 100. Henry Kissinger, a man who's had a hand in on some of the worst, and I do mean worse, policies this country has enacted. That Henry Kissinger. I used to have a lot of respect for him until I got to know him. I had a lot of respect for him. It was really based on his reputation. But as Dr. Maya Angelou would say, when you know better, you do better. And now that I know better, I do better. Dr. Maya Angelou. Oh, well, it's okay. We know what you mean. We know what you mean. The architect of calamity. If you would have just said the architect of calamity, I would have figured it out. Let me see. Did I have any other videos that I wanted to share or sound bites? Let me make sure. I thought I had more than that, but maybe not. Oh, okay. How long is this one?
Before the birth of her firstborn, about what the color of his skin.
Okay, this was on what channel is that? Oh, this was part of his Good Morning America. I think this was part of his Good Morning America. I will play it. I will play it because I don't think I actually watched the whole thing.
Headlines that so many people still talk about is that moment when Meghan Markle told Oprah that there was a discussion before the birth of her firstborn about what the color of his skin would look like.
Yeah.
You've learned more about kind of that moment and who was involved.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Yeah, I think, listen, there are many people that argued it's normal to have conversations about what a child might look like at birth. And I think the problematic term that Meghan raised was that there were concerns over the color of Archie's skin. And, I always wondered why Harry and Meghan didn't continue that conversation in the Netflix series, in Harry's book Spare. It was like it disappeared out of sight. And I wanted to get to the bottom of that. So to discover more about these letters that had been exchanged between Meghan and Charles after that Oprah interview, where although neither still see eye to eye on it to this day, they were able to at least share their queries and concerns about those conversations that happened within the family.
We do have to say both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace declined to comment on Scobie's book to ABC News. A spokesperson for the Sussexes has not yet responded to ABC News' request for comment. The book is called...
Okay, maybe I shared that one yesterday. I think I shared that one. I don't remember. I don't remember. Let me see if I have a new one. One of the squatties always keeps us up to date with some of the morning shows out of the UK. Let me see if she has anything new. Nope, nothing new. Yeah, nothing new. I don't see anything. Ooh, let me try one more place. One more.
Cambridge's team came forward to give this witness statement, which wasn't required. And sadly, there's just no way he could have done that without the authority of his bosses.
Mail on Sunday was arguing all the way through this that actually this letter wasn't private because she shared a draft with her former press secretary and she shared some text messages with him. Even during the course of those text messages, Meghan said, obviously everything I have drafted is with the understanding that it could leak. How do you deal with that?
But so how do we deal with that? Like, how on earth, like,
He was his brother. Like,
that, I know. It's your brother. I'm not going to say anything about your brother, but it's so.
That was when Meghan said, "It's your brother." I'm not going to say anything about him, but it's so obvious. It's your brother. That had to do with the letter that she sent to her father, and Meghan was like, "I don't understand because I mean he works for him," and that was when the reality set in that Harry's brother had instructed or given the okay for Jason Knopf, who, you know, at one time was working with the Sussexes, gave him permission. Actually, he was probably working against them, unofficially working against them, but officially working for them or with them. And yeah, Judas Knopf, he went to the lawyers for the Daily Mail and gave them information to try to defeat Meghan in the court case about the copyright infringement. Yeah, they're trying to protect William, I bet. They would need to protect somebody like that. Okay, you guys, that's it. I am going to say goodnight to you. As I cannot find anything else juicy to share with you. Although I tried, I'm looking, but I don't see anything juicy. Well, intrigue, scandal, there has been plenty of that today. They have not disappointed with that. Intrigue and scandal. Oh, by the way, you guys, there was a photo of Meghan yesterday. I'll share it with you. There was a photo of Meghan. It's a grainy, blurry image. But there was a photo of Meghan yesterday from their trip to Vancouver, Whistler. And I will share it with you. Give me just a second here. I meant to put that on earlier and I didn't do it. There you go. This was actually on the Invictus web page or website, but it's not a very good quality photo. But you can see Meghan wearing that long coat and some jeans and a black turtleneck, I think. Yeah, so that was kind of unexpected, but that was making the rounds yesterday. If you go to their website, you can find it there, but it looks just as grainy as you see it here. So I hate to say you'd be wasting your time, but it doesn't get any better. I'd searched and searched to see if I could find another one, and that was it, just the one that they have. And there is here. Well, actually, this is awful. There's this. Well, you probably saw this one already anyway, but I have a better one. Let me see if I can grab the one that's not blurry. Okay, there you go. So Megan's not in this one, but that's the rest of the folks. And Harry's pretty much dead center there. So there's Megan and there's Harry. Yeah, but that's not Harry in the tan pants there. He's a little short, too short to be Harry. Harry is taller, lankier. Oh, Pullover girl. Thank you so much for saying that. But I tell you, when I stand on principle, I stand on principle. And there's a lot of things in this world I don't get right, but I have always been very loyal to people or things that I believe in. And I do believe in the Sussexes, and it is so easy to do what I do for that reason. It doesn't feel like I'm working, it just feels like I'm being myself for the most part. That's it. So, and glad to do it. It's a privilege and an honor. Plus, I hate a bully, and seeing them bullied, that bothered me. And they continue to do everything they can to bully the Sussexes, among other people. So, got to call out the bullies. Martine, where have you been? We're about to go off. We're done. But thanks for saying hi. We're done. Okay. All right, you guys, there's nothing else I was scratching my head trying to see if I'd missed anything, but I shouldn't think so. So we are going to say goodnight to our queens, as always. I'll be loving you always with a love that's true always. When the things you plan needs a helping hand, I will understand always, always. Days may not be fair always. That's when I'll be there always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always. I'll never hear bells if you leave me, darling. I'll never hear the bells. I'll never hear bells if you leave me, darling. I'll never hear the bells. Do you hear what I hear when I say goodnight? That will be our last word of the day. And of course, actually, I don't know where the queens are, so I'll just do this one. All right. Good night, Diana. Good night, Doria. And cue the Ginger Avenger.